Welcome to Prepper Talk Radio. Good morning, Salt Lake City. We are happy to be with you once again. And as we mentioned in our last show, this is our 1-year anniversary. The new year. And I am feeling butterflies again, just like it is like we started the first time. I don't know why. I'm in general a very nervous person, I guess you could say. And maybe that's what contributes to my desire to be so prepared. Is that,
There's two parts to that.
well, we need to talk about that, because I need to figure this out.
Your ambition to be prepared.
Okay, yep,
You're a Boy Scout. Is my mic even on? Yeah.
it is on. Well, no, actually, you're on mic 2 there. And
I'm on
mic
mic-
1,
there
so
we
let me
go.
turn you on. Sorry.
There we go. So, two things. I'm spiking over there. Two things. One is your ambition to be prepared probably started as a Boy Scout.
I believe so, yeah.
Because a scout is prepared, right?
I see the hat I'm wearing, and I wear on a regular basis.
You wear that almost all the time.
Is my Boy Scout hat.
Is that your
like
troop number 1910 over there, or is that the number?
No, that's the
founded?
year he was founded.
That's what I thought. But
And
you may be the lucky guy that has that as your troop number.
maybe. But no, I definitely took... I wasn't a gung-ho scout, let me say that. I wasn't terribly involved in scouting. Of course, my parents got me started as a Cub Scout, and then as a Boy Scout. I did not earn my Eagle. Sorry, everybody. Sorry to disappoint you. The prepared guy did not get his Eagle. I was off doing other things.
Not everybody can be that cool.
That's true. I'm definitely not cool
You're
enough.
not that cool as a Boy Scout,
to
but
have
you
my
are
Eagle.
that cool as a prepper and as a cave explorer.
Well, thank you.
You're probably even more than that cool.
And that was kind of my justification, I guess, as well, to not go after my Eagle. I didn't really have anybody pushing me, and I was off rock climbing and all that kind of fun stuff anyway. So off in the hills, off adventuring
Off adventuring.
with my good buddy Dan from Live Life Survival.
What
one of
you
our
guys
previous
needed,
guests.
which unfortunately didn't exist back then, was the Backcountry Survival pack.
Maribad. Oh,
No, the Backcountry or the Ultralight Backcountry by Survival Medical,
oh, right.
our
Okay.
sponsor.
Yes, I
They
was going
have-
to get into
This
that.
is what I carry in my bag. I always carry the Ultralight, and then in my car I have the Voyager, just because it makes so much sense to me to have as much first aid as possible. I want to be prepared for whatever can come, and if I don't have those things and I need them, I'll be pretty pissed at myself.
Yep.
But it just goes to show that I did not think of that. I did not think of how to be better prepared, because most of the time you're going to use it for someone else, not yourself. But just in case, you want it for yourself. So if you're in the sound of my voice, which, hey, thank you for tuning in, go down to the Sam's Club on the 215 and State Street in Murray.
A few more days.
They've got 3 or 4 more days where they're going to have Survival Medical there. Check out the kits in person. They've got everything from large groups, hospital quality, hospital grade, all the way down to your solo backpacker, everything and everything in between. They even have a marine line. So if you're spending a lot of time on the lake, or if you're a fisherman, they've got a flight on the fly kit, they call it. So pretty much anything and everything you need, they've got it, and it's awesome. 20-year life,
Stuff.
amazing product.
And I will be stocking up on more for Christmas presents as well. And what we wanted to talk about today, as our 53rd episode, our beginning of our second year. I know that's for us. I think that's an accomplishment. I'm happy to say that, and I'm happy to join the ranks of all the other excellent shows here on K Talk that have much more tenure than we do. But we're definitely happy to be here. I wanted to talk about today the what, how, and why of prepping. And before we jump into that, I want to briefly talk about this video that's been all over the internet. It's a video of this guy taking a video of himself talking to the camera, and he's just been mauled by a bear.
Grizzly bear.
A grizzly bear. Not just a black bear.
Not a teddy bear.
A freaking grizzly bear.
Not a gummy bear.
No.
Because if you ever watch the Disney show, those gummy bears are pretty smart.
And, okay.
But a grizzly bear.
Yeah, the grizzlies are
scary, dangerous
as bad as they come, pretty much, especially a mother with cubs.
Yeah.
It doesn't get much more dangerous than that. So this guy is taking, and if you haven't seen it, go to our Facebook page, and it's probably on your Facebook feed anywhere. I mean, it's been shared all over the place.
So it's on the PrepperCon page. We
Yes.
can put it on the Prepper Talk radio page. I'll do that right now.
Okay, cool. So this guy is showing what happened to his attack, being attacked by a bear. He used his bear spray. It didn't work very well, or it didn't really work at all. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the comment I wanted to get to on this that Scott posted on here is when he shared this on the PrepperCon site is to be as prepared as you can be, as you can afford to be, because you can't afford not to be prepared. And the thing I would add to that is because the alternative of being unprepared is truly unthinkable. I mean, look at this guy who almost got his ear torn off, his arm was broken, his other arm was very I mean, he really got thrashed by this bear, but he came out alive, and he was, I mean, you could obviously tell he was grateful to come out alive on this video. And it is somewhat graphic, so if you don't want to watch it, don't.
He shows you the cuts. You can see his ear's about to fall off.
You can, yeah.
Major lacerations in the arm. He's in good spirits. He's calm and collected. Obviously, he's in a little bit of shock, but who wouldn't be at that point?
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's hiked out almost 3 miles at that point to get back to his car. Always a good idea to go in pairs.
Absolutely. My good buddy Dan, I worry about him all the time. He's off by himself.
Mountain Man Dan goes crazy.
Yeah, he goes off by himself. But and as for myself, I rarely ever do that. Now, and we wanted to bring this up because what is the reason not to be prepared? Especially in his case when he's out by himself in bear. Okay, he did have his bear spray. He had a firearm, which apparently got lost. He went to his bear spray first before his firearm, and I don't know what he was carrying for a firearm anyway. If it would have been that effective,
enough to do anything.
Yeah, you really need a rifle against a bear. I mean, a big hunting rifle, 30 caliber or larger. Anyway,
especially with a grizzly.
Because
now, if it were a teddy bear,
or
you can get it with a 22.
Or even a black bear. Black bear here in Utah, you carry a 357, you're probably going to be okay. It's going to be just fine. But not with a grizzly. A 357 is not going to do much to a grizzly unless it's just the right shot.
It's going to piss it off.
It's going to make him more upset and want to kill you even more.
It's like a bee sting. If I get stung with a bee,
there you go.
I'm going to turn around and I'm going to crush that bee. So you want to make sure you have a large enough caliber that's going to make a difference.
That's right. So
bear spray is great, but it's not very effective most of the time.
And I've heard that it can be more effective than firearms depending on what you're carrying. But yeah, I don't want to kill a bear.
I mean,
I don't want to do that. But I'd rather have killed that bear than have taken the damage that this guy took, taken the injuries this guy took.
Absolutely.
But also, why didn't he have some medical supplies and banded himself up? Obviously, he wasn't bleeding.
They're probably in his car.
Profusely. Yeah, maybe he left it
behind. But at least he had the smarts to put his hat on to hold in his brains,
his skin
so
to
to
his
speak.
head.
But just keep the flap down.
Yeah. So the alternative of being prepared to me is unthinkable, and maybe that's where some of my, I guess, call it anxiety of being in front of you and talking to you on the phone comes from. Because if I'm not completely prepared, then I definitely feel anxiety. We've got a caller here, so let's go ahead and take that call. Make sure we got the phone turned on. Oh, there you are, caller. Go ahead and did you have something for us this morning?
Yeah, I'm a little confused. Were you guys talking about marriage or bear attacks?
Jason,
we're talking bear attack, not marriage, Jason. Bear attack.
All right.
So unless you're married to a grizzly bear,
well, I hope she's not listening.
She probably is. So you're gonna be. I hope you're prepared to sleep in the doghouse for the next few nights.
Oh gosh, I've got my own bed set up. He and I are buds, man. We're golden.
That's good to hear.
So yeah, I mean, so how does one actually prepare for a bear attack? For heaven's sakes, I mean, come on. That just seems so over the top for me. It's like, wow.
Well, I've heard that you have to obviously wherever you go, like here in Utah, we have black bears. In other places, like of course Alaska, I think Montana's may have grizzlies. I don't know if the grizzlies in Montana. Anyway. Or is that where this attack happened here in Montana? In Montana.
Yeah,
so it's in grizzlies.
Canada, northern Idaho.
Right, so you got to be aware of
Montana.
Of the animals. Like here in Utah, we have mountain lions and cougars. There was a mountain lion down in the city in Spanish Fork yesterday that kept the kids in from school. Anyway, you can also check their scat. If the scat has if the scat has bells in it and it smells like pepper spray, it's probably a grizzly.
Oh.
Wow, really?
Well,
bells?
Okay.
How many hikers wear
maybe
bells?
Perhaps one of the best defenses you could do is take a divorce lawyer with you and use them as a shield.
Okay. Sounds like you have a bigger story that we could talk about for another episode here, Jason. But
Sounds good.
But But what I guess my reference there is to bells is that, make some noise as you're hiking. There are bear bells that you can wear to create some noise so the bear hears you from coming from way off, and you're not startling that bear, especially if it has cubs. That maybe you're talking with whoever you're hiking with and creating some noise, so you're just not going to surprise the bear. And that's where my joke was with the bells. But also pepper spray, maybe it's more effective on black bears and grizzly bears. Personally, I will carry an adequate firearm and be prepared to use that and be as my go-to rather than just pepper spray.
Well, and different types of bears
way,
behave differently. That's the key. Your black bear, not as aggressive.
Not nearly.
Not as dangerous, not as big, but sometimes they can be. I mean, polar bears, totally different case as well. Thankfully, I don't live anywhere near a polar bear. They seem to be the most rude of the bears.
My wife has actually lived in Alaska for many years, and the problem you have with polar bears is they're one of only 3 species that actually hunts men. In fact, when the Eskimos up there go hunting for polar bear, which they are legally allowed to do, they literally use human bait. One guy will sit there and they find the bear and have the bear track him, while 2 others are there to shoot the bear. So,
thankfully, and we don't have to worry too much about bears here in Utah. Although I did just see a video of another bear in Spanish Fork, just in a black bear in the neighborhood as well. So maybe things are changing. I don't know, but you've got to be just aware. Yep. And that's the main thing I say is when you're out in the wilderness. Go by yourself. Go with someone else. Carry a firearm. Carry bear spray. And just be aware. I wouldn't worry about it too much, especially here in Utah. Now, if you're in grizzly territory, absolutely, that should be foremost on your mind.
Well, and here's a good list of things that you should be doing if you're in bear country, especially grizzly bear country. So, number 1, don't be stealthy. Make noise, sing, talk. Make sure that the bear can hear you coming, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to wander away. They don't want to get involved. Do not tease them with food. Don't leave it out. Don't always pack up your food and hang it from a high location at night, or when you're outside of camp. Otherwise, they're curious, they're hungry, they're going to go for the path of least resistance. To them, it's like driving through McDonald's when we leave our crap in our camp. They're going to just walk right through, and they're going to pillage it and be like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah, we got a couple of other callers coming on here. Let me say goodbye to you, Jason. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
All right, see ya. All right, caller, you have a question or comment for us?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment about the bear stuff.
Great.
Name is Kirk.
Hey, Kirk. Thanks for calling in.
You bet.
What's your comment?
It's just about how many black bears are up in the Uintas.
Yeah? Are there more than we think of? There are?
Well, I was told by a fish and game officer that there was 1 black bear per average every 5 square miles.
That sounds right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of them up there, and, black bears will charge.
Okay. Well, that's good, especially in the Uintas where you're very remote.
Yeah, that can just be a call-in comment you can make to them. I got to hang up. I'm
All right.
driving.
No, thanks for calling in. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, got another call here. Go ahead. You had a comment for us?
Hey, it's Corey, Shane.
Hey, Corey. Good. How are you? Come on. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I've actually had the experience of running into bears while hunting before, and I'd tell you what, it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's their butt running into the bushes because they're just as scared of you as you are of them.
And let's hope that's always the case.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not with that case in Montana, but bear spray is definitely the go-to because I've seen videos. So most of the time, bear spray will stop them in their tracks. Sometimes it won't, unfortunately. But you're right. If you're carrying a firearm, you want to have something that has a punch, but at the same time, the firearm should be your backup, in my opinion. Because
agreed.
If you're carrying a firearm with enough power to take down a bear, the chances of you being able to get off a second shot are pretty darn low. And so, I don't know. That's my opinion. But yeah,
okay.
if you're carrying a 44 Magnum or something like that, by the time it takes you to reacquire that bear in your sights, most likely they're already on top of you.
Yeah, you've got to be close. If you're carrying a handgun, you've got to be pretty close. Now, if you're carrying a rifle, you're going to be able to gain have some distance between you. All right, we've come up on the break here. Thanks for your call, Corey. And you're listening to Prepper Talk Radio here on AM 630 K-Talk, and we will see you on the other side of the break. All right, let's get right back into the program here. You're listening to Shane and Scott here on Prepper Talk Radio on AM 630 K-Talk. Thanks for listening. We're talking a little bit about bears. We've got a caller on line 3. Let's go ahead and just go right to that call. And hello, caller, line 3. You have a comment for us about bears? Oh, looks like we lost that caller. Sorry about that. Feel free to give us a call back in. We had quite a few people wanting to talk about bears, so they've got some good experience out there, it sounds like. And we'd love to hear it. But what I wanted to do is, of course, first of all, mention our sponsor, Survival Medical, survival-medical.com, the only first aid kits that are tougher than nature. You can see them at the Sam's Club on State Street over by 215 there in Murray for the next few days. So go check them out. Great sponsor, great products. What I wanted to talk about, I guess, a little bit more on our little anniversary show here is, the what, how, and why of prepping. And it's a big topic. It's a lot to talk about, and I wanted to mention this. First of all, you probably heard a little bit about this. Those who are in business, maybe in sales, have heard of Simon Sinek, who has been pushing this, lately, the last several years, as it relates to the sales process. Now, and being in sales myself, I know Scott is as well. So we absolutely believe, and at least I do. Let me not speak for you, Scott, but believe in the why. Now picture the what, how, and why as a bullseye, whereas why is the bullseye, is the very center of the target. The next ring out is how, and the furthest ring out is what. And I use this as a way to solve problems. I've got a call on line 3. Let's go ahead and take this call and see what comment it is. Hello, caller. You have a question or comment for us?
No, I was just going to do the bear thing. Are you guys
go
part
ahead.
of that yet?
No, go right ahead.
Okay, I'm in the Uintas a lot. I do a lot of the 50 mileage scouts here, like twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had bear run-ins, but I've had mountain lion run-ins.
Mm-hmm.
But you know how everybody calls a 16-gauge shotgun Sweet 16?
Right.
There's actually a revolver, a Blackhawk Ruger revolver, that's better than the 357 and better than the 44 mag. It's in between the two. You've heard of a 41 mag, right?
41, yes, I have heard of 41.
Yeah, I swear by the 41. I can't hit the broadside of a barn with the 44, but with the 41, you got more oomph than the 357, and it's
less than
a lot easier to be on your target with a 41 mag. Anyway, I just wanted to give a plug for that, and probably shotgun, 12 gauge with a slug would be the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pain in the butt to carry around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, I'll get out of here.
Great comment. Thank you for calling in. Yeah, the 41 Magnum is, it's not as obviously as common as the 357 or 44. I think the key is just being able to shoot some different guns and decide what works best for you. Yeah, 357 in a small 2-inch revolver, it's going to hurt. It's not comfortable to shoot. I can only put maybe 10 or so down the barrel, and my hand starts to hurt. But when you only have to shoot off 1 or 2 to either scare off a bear, or hopefully you can scare it off, or to take down a bear or a cat, it's going to do the job. So
you can't just say or a cat.
Or a cat, excuse me, a mountain lion.
My neighbor's cat. All right, I'm taking the 357 outside.
Right.
Some young listeners probably turning inside his head, going,
"A cat."
I've got an idea.
When I say cat, I refer to the big cats.
Big cats.
Big cats.
There you go.
So
Cougar,
I've spent
lion, same thing. Anyway.
Exactly. I've spent a lot of time in the Uintas and in the mountains, and I've never come across a bear or a big cat.
I've
never come across it.
You're probably one of the larger percent of the population, but they're out there, and a lot of times cougars are there, and you don't even see them.
Yep. They're stalking you. They're
stalking you, and you just may not be tasty enough for them to do anything. But let's go back to our other topic. We wanted to talk about the kind of the why, the how of preparedness. For me, it's just always been, that's how I was raised. my grandparents were the first generation to leave the farm for our family, and that's how they grew up. They grew up without houses. And then my parents, they had a normal home, but they always had a garden. They always had a year's supply of food. They always learned their first aid. They always learned all the basics so that they wouldn't have to rush off to someone else or find another resource. As often as possible, they were able to do it themselves. And my dad became a general contractor. He learned how to do a lot of things for himself as a teenager from his dad. And so his dad could fix so many things that now I have a dad that can fix almost everything. Until you get into the technological space, and he can get pretty close, but, sometimes you just can't fix a motherboard.
Right.
But he can do so much more than I can when it comes to fixing things. I'm trying to regain a lot of that and trying to get more. But the key is as I've been taught, is always to know how to do as much as you can for yourself. Number one, it costs less. Number two, it makes you more valuable. Maybe not to anyone else, but to yourself. It gives you a sense of accomplishment when you fix something, when you create something. And that's empowering. And that's going to give you more confidence. That's why preparedness, just having preps, gives you a boost, right? It gives you a sense of peace. But knowing how to use everything takes you over the top.
Absolutely, and that's where this target, if you picture this target in your mind, the why is the center. And the reason the why is the center is that's what drives us. That's what gives us the desire to be prepared. Just like we see this example with the bear, okay, that gives me more of a desire to, make sure that I'm going to carry a rifle over a handgun, when I go into the wilderness. Yeah, a 12-gauge shotgun is probably, with a slug, is probably the best option, but yeah, it's a pain in the butt to carry. So it's the why that what drives me in particular. And when I come to a point where I need to make a decision, first turn to the why. Now let's look at it from the other aspect. I need to have a certain amount of food storage, or I need to have a firearm, or this or that. Now, how do I determine what I should buy? The way that is determined, the way that I determine that is starting with why, asking the question, why do I need this? And there are, of course, much more detailed questions I can ask myself. And then gaining some knowledge. So the how, like you're saying, Scott, is the skills. It's the knowledge that you put in your head. That is the how. So if you're looking at this bullseye, aiming for the why, and maybe you're not going to hit the why, but you hit the how.
Well, the why is the motivation, right? The what is the stuff.
What is the knowledge? And what is the stuff? Yeah.
What is the stuff? And
the how?
Your how is the knowledge.
Is the knowledge
as you're dictating it.
Correct.
Okay. So what I think is most important is obviously your why, because that's the reason why you're doing this. I'm married now. I've got a kid on the way. So for me, those are my whys. I want to make sure they're always taken care of. There's always food on the table. That there's a certain level of comfort. The how, obviously, that comes to working. I do quite a bit now, and so it comes down to how I get things, what I'm getting done and how that's generating revenue so that I can take care of my family. But that it also encompasses, my preparedness, my food storage, my water storage, my water filtration. And there's a lot of different resources to help you understand what you should have. What you'll find, though, especially in the food storage calculators, they're calculating based on a 720 calorie diet, daily calorie diet.
Which is ridiculous.
Well, you'll survive.
Right, it's the survival level.
That's the caloric intake that they had approximately in Germany during World War I and II for all the prisoners of war and for all the Jews. Horrible. I mean, that's why when you look at the pictures, they're emaciated. They're alive, but just barely. So what you need to do is look at your actual caloric intake, and you need to see what you need for your daily basis, and then calculate based off of that. So you may need to double that. You may need to triple that.
Exactly.
But it depends on what you're doing. And if you're working for survival instead of pushing buttons like we are now, well, I'm typing on a computer. I'm burning very few calories.
Exactly.
You're having to work in a survival situation very hard. So you're going to be burning 2 to 3 times as many calories as you're used to. So knowing that, going into the scenario, you need to prepare a lot more. And you need to know how to regrow food. You need to know how to replenish those goods. And that's that how part.
Exactly, that's the how part. And by putting more and more info into your head and learning more. Like, for example, let's take this food storage, go a little bit deeper with the food storage. I did a pretty thorough comparison several months back, after PrepperCon, and of, serving size, like you're saying. A lot of these kits you buy are based on serving size, not based on calories. And knowing that can help you to make a better decision on what to buy.
Mm-hmm.
But starting with the why is, why do I need food storage? Well, first of all, that's pretty obvious. That's pretty basic, is the food storage, the water, those types of basic things. For me, excuse me, the more difficult the question becomes, the why, is when I turn to this model. It's, why? I feel the need to be able to defend my family a little bit better.
Right.
What do I need to do that? Well, I don't know. How do I determine what I need to do that? And turn first again toward the why. Why do I need to defend my family? And ask myself more detailed questions. And then how am I going to do that?
I think one of the simplest ways to go about that, honestly, come to PrepperCon. Really, April 21st, 22nd, Southtown Expo Center. Yeah, it's not for another 5.5 months, but here's the kicker. We've got classes that are free with your ticket, right? Most of those classes cover these topics and help you know where to start and how to get better prepared. In the meantime, listen to our radio show, go back through the archive, because we've had guests talk about these specific questions. Personal home defense. What do I need to do? Well, first you need to look at what are your threats. And that's where Shane was going, I think, is understand what your threats are so you can understand how to defend against those threats.
And that could fit in the why category there.
Absolutely. So I think a lot of it comes back to, knowing what's going on. I think the biggest threat that people don't even think about is sanitation. Bugs, germs, they can get in anywhere they want to. And we defend less against those than anything else. And so you need to have a good sanitation program, and you need to have a good first aid scenario, because people are going to get sick. They are going to have problems, and you need to be able to take care of that. And then you defend your home. So defend your home against that. Then defend your home against an intruder, or defend your home. For example, right now, people don't even think about this. What are they letting into their house that's affecting the way they live? What are they listening to? What websites are they going to that are bringing in malicious, malware or viruses? What security do they have over their bank accounts when they start doing all the shopping online on unsecured websites? Understanding how to use those things. There's so many things that we're vulnerable to that we're not even paying attention to as a population. And so we're a lot more vulnerable than we realize. And we're a lot more capable than we realize as well, because all those same tools that could damage us are tools that we could use to improve our situation.
So the big question for me is, and for you is, how do you prep? And what exactly does that mean? How do you prep? Do you just buy stuff to go out and prep? Do you just gain knowledge to go and prep? Do you just think about prepping? I mean, how do you prep? That is, for me, the big question. How do you prep? And my first thought and my first response to that is filling your head with knowledge. Learning about how to get water, how to build a fire, how to store food. I mean, that is a big question, but it's driven by the why. So, one thing that I have come to learn about myself over the past several years in taking this journey of becoming a prepper and learning how to prep, learning what to prep with, and why. These are all driving forces to me. So it's not. There are a lot of uncertain things out there. There are a lot of uncertainties, but it's not the uncertainties that drive me. It is the things that I am certain of that make me ask the question why. Does that make sense?
So let's pose that same question to our audience. We've got just a few minutes before we go to break, but after the break, give us a call, 801-254-5855. After the break, we want to know what your motivator is and kind of the why, the how, and the what for you. And for everyone that calls in, we're gonna keep a PrepperCon emergency survival card. It has 22 tools.
Very cool.
We're gonna put your name on it and put it at the front desk, and you can come in and get that anytime after the show. So remember to call in after the break and tell us what you're doing, your how, your why, and your what. Because I think that'll help us and help a lot of the other listeners understand what they can do. Give us different ideas of why we're doing what we're doing. Some of you may be worried about, financial collapse more than anything else. I can totally relate to that. Some of you may be worrying about an EMP or an electromagnetic pulse, also similar to that, or is a solar flare. Varying sizes can affect us. That may be your number one thing. You may be worried mostly about just unemployment, losing your job, and that disruption in your family. So we want to hear those thoughts. We want to hear those things that you're doing to prepare for those. Your how, your what, and your why.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess what I wanted to bring up finally before our break is, do you go out and just concentrate on the what? And I think that's where a lot of us start, is we go out, okay, I need a 72-hour kit. So we go and buy a 72-hour kit. Or you go and buy, I need a stove. I just go and buy a stove. But do you realize, okay, is this exactly what I need? Is this exactly what our family needs? And I think many times I've done that very same thing, and then gone back and asked myself the why and learned more about the how, and realized, okay, what I bought wasn't exactly what we needed, or turned out to be exactly what we didn't need and was a complete waste. So that's why I'm posing these questions to you, is hopefully to help you to be more efficient at prepping, to be more concentrated, more focused, at getting ready and preparing for an emergency. Something simple. I mean, a bear attack is that's pretty straightforward. If you like to be out in the wilderness, that's something that should be easily on your mind. There are a lot of other things that are not going to be on your mind. And that is really the how, is where you need to put that knowledge into your head. So, after the break, please call in and say, okay, this is why I'm prepping. This is why I'm listening to you guys. I mean, why are you listening to us?
Yeah, why are you listening to us?
I mean, hopefully we're not that entertaining, I don't think. Well, maybe we are.
Well, I'm sure we are, but I'm hoping more than anything that we're educational, that we're bringing in guests that you guys are appreciating. And you can tell us that after the break as well. Let us know, how we can improve, if you love what we're doing. And definitely stay tuned. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break. Reminder, PrepperCon Radio is now Prepper Talk Radio forever. We're sponsored by Survival Medical, our great friends. Check them out, Sam's Club this week, or go to survival-medical.com. The only kits tougher than nature.
See you on the other side of the break. And welcome back to Prepper Talk Radio here on AM 630 K-Talk. We appreciate you joining us for our beginning of our second year of Prepper Talk Radio.
First show, second year.
Same jitters as the first show of last year, for me anyway. So I appreciate you joining us. And as always, our sponsor is Survival Medical, survival-medical.com, the only first aid kits tougher than nature. And hopefully we're getting better at this.
You know what I love is we actually get to have a sponsor that I believe in.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you listen to the radio show and they're like, oh, brought to you by our sponsor. And it's, no offense to anybody out there marketing and doing stuff, but it's like pills, right? Oh, yeah. This new pill's going to be amazing. It's going to give you better brain power, blah, blah,
That's
blah.
Right.
And you'll feel like a man. No. I don't like that. That's crazy. What I love is being able to say, this is an awesome medical and first aid kit. This you can take with you. It's sealed. It's airtight. You can use the pouch. Rip it open, pour out all the contents, use the pouch to hold water. You can use the pouch to eat out of. But you can throw all your stuff back in there. It's got this special tablet that keeps the ozone in there, the perfect
environment.
There, thank you. I'm like, I'm thinking setting, and I'm like, that's not right. The perfect environment to keep your medical gear good for up to 20 years. Nobody else is doing that. It's amazing. I love it.
And being a gearhead myself, I am definitely favorable to some brands over others. And we've got a call here. Let's go ahead and take this call. Hopefully they are talking about the why. Yeah, you got a comment about us for us about your how to prep?
I want to ask you a question.
Yes. Go ahead.
About
you're live. Go ahead.
Okay, I want you to give some information about the kits. What other Sam's Club has it? Is it the one on 3rd West and about 21st South?
That one actually just stopped carrying that about 4 days ago. So right now it's going to be only at the Sam's Club.
Can you give the cost of them and if it's 3rd West?
So right now they're only at the Sam's Club on State Street.
Why?
Well, because
why are they only at that one?
What Sam's Clubs does, when they bring in a new product to their Sam's Clubs, they do what they call a road show. And they send you to different stores, and they rotate it all over the United States. So right now they're in Utah. Next month, I believe they're going to be heading out to Texas or Arizona somewhere. But it rotates all over the United States, and then how well they do at those stores determines when they get what stores are going to get placed in permanently going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I shouldn't say permanently, semi-permanently, because if the sales ever drop off, then they won't be selling them anymore. But right now they're in the roadshow phase, and so
only one is available for how many days? You said 3 days.
3 more days over at Sam's Club on State Street. And it's actually a
what?
better price there than if you buy it online.
Mm-hmm.
Where? How far south?
Almost 215 State Street and almost to 215.
It's about 6,000 south.
What?
6,000 south on State Street.
And that's the only place we can get it.
Or online at survival-medical.com, of course. But
Okay, thank you.
as for a local place right now, there is also the Family Storehouse
Down in Pleasant Grove,
in American Fork
American
that
Fork.
carries their products all the time. So you can get them down there.
Thank you.
And
wish
we don't
you
have
how
their
much is
address,
the
so I won't
price?
be able to help you with that.
What are the prices of the 3, or how many kinds they got?
We don't know the prices on it.
Yeah, you can check out the prices online.
I don't have a computer, but thank you.
All right. Thanks for your call. Appreciate it. Anyway, they are great products, and I will be stocking up on more this month. So, and like I was saying, is I'm a total gearhead, and I'm very picky about my gear. And absolutely, like Scott says, this is stuff that I would buy, and I'm very happy that they're one of our sponsors, and we're happy to support them as much as we can.
You know, let's go back to the why. You know, call in, let us know why you're preparing, what you're preparing for, what gets you excited about preparedness, and make sure you give us your name so we can put it on our survival card up front. You know, my original why started when I was 13. You know, I got excited about a book that I read called My Side of the Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
It's a story about a kid that's living in New York. They leave the city, and he goes into the mountains. And he completely survives off of the books that he learned from in the library. Mm-hmm. And if he didn't know something, then he hikes down into this little town to the library there and looks for a book on that subject, studies it, and then goes back in the woods, and he's, peachy keen. And I thought, I was like, man, I'm going to go do this myself. So I started my journey more in wilderness survival than emergency preparedness. And it sounds like that's kind of where you started. And then it kind of expanded as I got older and as I started thinking more and more what I needed to do to prepare. Urban survival is completely different than wilderness survival. Mm-hmm. You can actually rely more on your preps, your gear, than you can if you're just in the wild. It's harder to pack it all around. So for me, especially when I got married, I was like hyper-focused that, wow, I need to be better prepared because now I've got someone else relying on me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Both of us work, but if one of us stops working, that changes our lifestyle.
And I think now the whys are even more prevalent than before. Mm-hmm. Because if you think back to, even when I was born in the 70s, we weren't still producing a whole lot of food ourselves as a population, but we still were, and our values were different back then. And now the whys of why you should be prepared are so much more prevalent. If you look at just like the financial system, you look at what's happening over in the Middle East, and I don't want to get into talking about these topics because everybody else does, and we're talking about how and what, taking the why and figuring out the how and the what.
Well, I think you need to just start off by being aware of what's going on. Politically, internationally, global trade. Those are things that are important to know because it gives you indicators on what's going to happen in the next 6 months. Watching the housing market. That's a great one to know what's really going on with the economy because everything seems to follow the housing market to a degree. So as you look outside of Utah, you see there's some states where it's bubbling pretty quickly, and they're going to see a collapse come soon. Utah's a little more reserved, and so we don't bubble
more
as
resilient.
quick. Yeah, we're more resilient. And the nice thing is we have so many jobs coming to Utah that gives us a little bit of a security blanket so that we don't bubble as fast and that we stay steady. But yeah, our price is increasing. Are they on the rise? Absolutely. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to the fact that what cost $1 a year ago now costs $1.80 at the grocery store. Pay attention to that. The more you can grow your own food, the more money you're going to save. The more you can it, the more you can save it and use it when you need it, the more self-reliant you become. I don't have a garden right now, and that's my biggest frustration. I need to get my garden going. I need to get my greenhouse in so I can extend that growth cycle and put a heater in there.
Why do you want a greenhouse, Scott?
So that I can grow my own food year round.
Why do you want to grow your own food year round?
Because it tastes so much better, and it costs less,
and you don't have to rely on the stores.
It's also it gives me that power over my own life, but it also is so calming for me to go have that hobby.
Yeah, and you basically keep asking yourself that question, why? Just like a little child would come up to you and say, Daddy, why? And dig down really deep and find that true meaning of, or the true reason of why you want to have a garden, why you want to defend your family, and they may be hard, they may be easy to discover that, but you learn something about yourself, and then that drives you toward the how. And there's a lot of different ways to do things out there. There's so much information online. I use YouTube a lot, and there are a lot of how-to videos on there, and a lot of them I'm not interested in, and a lot of them they resonate with me because I've searched and found the why, and found the right niche for me. We're all different. Everybody's different. We all have different likes and desires, and so that why is going to be different for everybody, and which will drive you again to the how and the right way to do it, and then the what.
Absolutely.
The right things to get.
So let me ask you this, Shane. What would you say are the first 3 things a new prepper, and someone that's new to emergency preparedness, first 3 things they need to do? Where do they start?
The very first place to start is, of course, food storage.
Why? Because
you can't live without food, or your life will be very miserable on very few calories.
Okay. So how does that
keep asking more why? Keep going.
How does that equate to the emergency rule of 3, though? Because that's not your number 1 priority.
Shelter, right? Shelter is your number 1 priority.
Okay.
Why?
So why do you put food above that? Why is that so much more important?
Well, I think because I already have shelter.
Okay.
So that shelter is already been taken care of. And I think maybe it is for most people. They've got their home. They live with their parents. They've got, live in an apartment or whatever. So that why is kind of taken care of right now.
Okay.
But if it were taken away, where would you go achieve shelter? Like, would you get a dome? I mean, would you get a tent? I mean,
would you move in with in-laws? Like, so
exactly.
Here's the reason I ask that is I look at the number 1 thing that could happen is just a neighborhood evacuation.
Okay.
We have fires in Utah. They love to go up on the mountains. I live up near there. Look at the fire that happened in Harriman a couple years ago. A lot of people had to evacuate. And you see them rushing, grabbing everything they can out of their house and throwing it into a trailer and then trying to drive out. And then they're all stuck driving out because everyone's got this giant trailer that they just spent 8 hours filling, and they can't just leave and be at peace, right? I think most of us can't.
And they may not even know where they're going.
Yeah. Where are they going? What are they doing? So I like to think of, the number 1 thing that could hurt me or harm me or upset my life or disrupt my life, that's what I want to prepare for first. I worry more about the power going out than not having enough food.
Okay.
So I've got a backup generator. But where do you start with that? What do I need? What are my needs to survive? And so
educate yourself.
Yeah, educate yourself. There's amazing blogs out there. There's some amazing resources on YouTube. PrepperCon shares a ton of those. Prepper Talk Radio, we're going to be sharing more and more of that. We're going to get our blog up and running. But go to thepreparedguy.com. That's an amazing blog. That's your blog.
Yep, thanks.
And a lot of great resources there on how to better prepare yourself for most scenarios. But I think food and water, they're top resources.
Yeah, so as a place to start, if it's just you and your wife, if you're a young couple, if it's just yourself, it's pretty easy to get yourself a single-man tent, something that you can survive in that way. But it's definitely more difficult to acquire a large supply, a 6-month supply, a year supply of food.
Yep. I always say start with a month. Start with a month. Get your month supply of food, and you can get canned food. Canned food lasts way longer than the expiration date.
Absolutely.
The expiration date's only there so it encourages you to throw it out and buy another can. That's the bull crap in the food market. They do everything they can to make you think that food's going to go bad soon. I've opened up things of peanut butter from 40 years ago, and it's still good. Like, there's ways to store it and keep it good, and it's amazing. But the key is start small. Don't overwhelm yourself. Start small.
Yeah.
So what would you say is number 2?
Well, for me, and in my current situation, I would say, obviously food, water, and then safety.
Why? Like, from what, really?
Well, safety from, I guess we're looking towards just every day, or are we talking about in a post-apocalyptic, or are we talking about
I'm asking you like what you're preparing.
Okay. Well, the things that are foremost on my mind is safety, making my home safe for my family. I've got 4 daughters. I want that to be safe for them. I want them to come home and feel that they're in a safe place, especially with all the turmoil and confusion out in the world. I like them to come home and find that safety and comfort at home. So there are a number of things that I've done to the house to make it more physically safe, to keep people out, to make sure that everyone inside feels safe. So that's one of my top concerns. Of course, food and water, safety. Of course, health is a big deal about that too. And so, health insurance obviously is a big chunk of that. But also, eating right, eating well, and getting good sleep, getting early to bed, early to rise. I live by that, and I think I think more of us should. But anyway, does that answer your question, Scott? Or do you have more why questions for me? Drive me with some more why questions.
So going back to the why, it's like, okay, we're talking most of the time to newbie preppers when we're out and about. They're asking us, what do we do? How do we do it? So for them, it's not so much the why, it's the what and the how, right? They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to start. So we talked a little bit about food storage. Get a month. Start simple. Start small. Get some canned foods. When you're at the store, grab a few extra things, right? And things that you like.
Life experiences are going to drive that as well. Like me and my experience, I've related before about the car crash. I had no idea what to do when I came across that car crash. So I learned the how part. I learned how to, do first aid, how to be a first responder, and then I got the things that I needed, the what, the first aid kit, the supplies, and so forth. And I'm continually learning the how. Obviously, it's not one and done, but. Thanks for joining us. There's our music. Cue us for the end of the hour. Yeah, wasn't really watching the timer, but thanks for joining us. And we hope to hear from you next week. Survival Medical is our sponsor, and we love them, and we hope that you go check them out. They are in Riverdale, starting tomorrow. That's one thing that I wanted to get across. Riverdale for the next 11 days. And we'll see you next week here on Prepper Talk Radio.
Remember when